Welcome to this week's Hymn of the Week. This week we have 673 in Evangelical Lutheran worship, God whose almighty word. Let's start by talking about the text. John Marriott, 1780 to 1825. He was a PK, just like I am, a preacher's kid. So maybe there's a special connection there with the text. But he was not, he didn't really share his writings a lot. He was too modest to have his writings published. So it wasn't until after he died in 1825 that the text was shared at a meeting by, check his name here, Thomas Mortimer. He quoted at a London Missionary Society meeting, and then a month later it was published in an evangelical magazine. So that's how this text was released. And eventually, John Marriott became a pastor and oversaw 3 parishes. So that leads to the next thing about the music we see, Felice de Girardini, the Italian composer. This tune was composed by him, the music, but if you also look, it's called Italian Hymn. It has had so many different names over the years. Moscow has been one of them, or Moscow, because that was the place where Girardini died. It also has had the name Trinity, or Hymn of Trinity, sometimes just Trinity, because of the book that it was part of. And initially this tune was part of a book for a London Anglican charity. Going to check the name on that. Lock Hospital was the name of it. And Girardini composed it for that book, so the tune had that connection to it. The other thing about Girardini I find very interesting is that he was a violinist. So it puts new meaning to this tune when you sing it, as if you're playing the violin. It's a different way of singing the tune. The other thing that is an interesting thing to mention is in the middle of the tune is where we have a repeat. So if we were to put a form for this tune, put a letter for each section, it's really A, B, C, D, D, E, F. So this pattern repeats in the middle. Very beautiful to put that in the middle. Often it's at the beginning or sometimes at the end. So a little creativity there from Girardini. And lastly, I'm going to modify some of the ideas, reharmonizations from Hallie Chopson for this hymn. And I'm going to start with a registration that's different. So I'm going to have 8 and 4 foot flutes on the grate, or let's just say flutes on the grate. Then I'm going to do a flute 8 on the choir. As well, I'm going to have a reed or an oboe 8. And I'm also going to have a reed sound in the pedal. And hopefully what you'll hear, and what I'm trying to accomplish here, is the idea that God's voice is all across this earth. There's so many parts, points of the kingdom and God's light that we don't always see. And sometimes they may appear different, but yet God is still there. The rays are still there. God is still shining. God's word is still true. So that's the purpose of this introduction, but it's also to remind us of the greater purpose of the kingdom of Christ. So here we go. God whose almighty word.
Chaos and darkness, and